Welcome, Christine, to the Zoom room officially. Nice expression session chat there. So thanks for sharing. Kind of warms us up nicely for today's teaching and lesson. So let's just go into that. I'll share my screen now with you, and we'll have a look at the quote for today. And then there's also a lesson to look at. Okay, so let me share the screen. Yeah, so you can read the quote for us.
What we do in life echoes in eternity.
We do in life echoes in eternity. Quite a profound statement. That's from actually the movie Gladiator. Did you ever see it? Russell Crowe.
No.
Very a lot of spiritual themes in that movie. I think actually I'll share it as a movie at some point. Not sure if it's coming up this Saturday. I haven't checked. But there's some deep wisdom that comes some themes, and these great movies, these epic movies, always have this spiritual underpinning. So it's a lovely reminder that whatever we do in this illusory world only matters because it takes us closer to or further away from eternity, which is just another name for the eternal transcendent reality that the Perennial Philosophy and every great spiritual teacher and teaching throughout history has pointed to. So the idea that there's something else, another reality beyond this one, is the core teaching of the Perennial Philosophy. And every major spiritual path and teaching has that at its core. But this isn't the only reality of this world. So when you start to become continuously conscious that every thought you have and every choice you make is an echo in eternity, you'll also start to see that this eternal reality is reflected everywhere and in everything right now, which is the closest approximation to eternity we can experience in this world. So that's how we experience eternity, in the now. When you are present and you're not thinking about the past and no future thoughts, and you're purely present, this eternity starts coming into your mind, this awareness. And it feels very different, doesn't it? And I think that's probably part of what you're experiencing in the last few days. It's a shift into the timeless now, and the eternal is starting to make itself known to you in your experience. And it's a very different experience from our time-based experience that the ego has created for us here.
Yes, very, very significant.
So if you think about the ego's perception of the world, it's totally based on time and space. I'm a body in space. I'm moving around in space. There's space around me. There's other bodies in space, and everything happens sequentially in time. So things move around in space over, and we measure time by the movement of things in space. Okay, well that happened, and then that happened, and so that's what gives us the illusion of time, doesn't it? Time, space, as Einstein said, is a construct. But it's not an absolute construct. It's a relative one. That's what he understood. The theory of relativity is really saying time, space is not absolute. Time, space is relative. Time, space can shift and change. Time, space then is not absolute reality. That's really what Einstein's theory of relativity is saying. So it's not eternal. It's relative. what lies beyond it, right? The deeper level of truth, of the ground of being, as some philosophers have called it, is this eternity, another name for it, time zero, before the Big Bang, before everything, time, space was miscreated and covered over eternity. There was this eternal still presence, and that still is there. It's just been covered over, and now our minds have got so enslaved into that thought system that generated time, space, that we don't have access to eternity. It's covered over, and our minds are on the timeline, past, future. And so, our job is to go back into the now, and find it in the present moment. And so that's you notice there's been an emphasis on the holy instant in the text recently.
Yes.
So the holy instant, the holy aware moment, relating that to the special relationship, saying, you come into the moment, and when you are purely present in the moment, you are like at the tip of this blue arrow, and that takes you up into this transcendent awareness, into eternity. And then your experience is very different from this eternal state. Your experience of this world is a transformed experience, not the same as if you're rooted in the ego and you've got the past and the future really mostly prevalent in your mind. It's a very different experience. And so in the wholly aware moment, the now, you're accessing the eternal. You're going beyond time and space. And then you're bringing that into your perception of the world. So that's why it's a double arrow. You're going up and you're going down. And the Holy Spirit, the remembrance of this domain, then interprets the world for you differently. And that causes you to have different thoughts, you make different decisions, take different actions, and that's how eternity comes into time. And he says, what we do in life echoes in eternity if we are connected. If we're in the spirit, then what's happening here is just a reflection or an echo of this eternal presence. But that's how we have a happy dream, because the echo of eternity in this world looks like a happy dream. It looks like flow. Flow is the echo of eternity in this world. You see, when you're in that timeless state and things are flowing, there's a reflection or an echo of eternity that you're experiencing, and it feels very different, and it feels much better than being time bound, doesn't it?
Definitely happier, lighter, more peaceful.
So eternity then infuses your perception of all your experiences. And that is the state of living in the now and being connected to your source. And it streams through you and it infuses all your perceptions, and then it spreads through you into the world. And it demonstrates itself through you, through your life, your words, your actions to others. And this is the way it comes into the world and can be perceived in the world. And then it has miraculous effects on the timeline. So things change because of that presence. And if you see those changes, then you can't doubt that there's something there, that there's something profound and real there. So look at the integral model, another view of it. This is on the interior. You're going into the now, you're accessing these interior domains, and then that gets reflected on the objective, in the objective world, in time and space. And you see those results, and you can't doubt that there's something profound that's happening. And that's how we awaken, because it's like, well, how else can I explain what my experience is and some of the things that are happening? But that, yes, this presence must be real. In fact, more real than my previous consciousness that was time-bound, the ego consciousness. It certainly works better, feels better. So, okay, this is a viable alternative to that, that old way of thinking and being. That's really what Yeshua is trying to sell us. He's really a master salesman. He's selling us on another way of being. another self, another way of being, another way of perceiving the world. It's quite a process if you think about it, because you're so wedded to the old way. Now, he's got to say, no, that's all wrong. Here's a new way, and I've got to convince you that this way is better, and get over the obstacle of the old way, because the old way doesn't want to give way. It's saying, no, I still want to be in charge. This it's going to tell you it worked for you. And it's the transition from the one thought system to the other that is really what this whole process is about. Learning to live as an echo of eternity in this world, and that looks like happy dream. That's the flow. That's being in the moment. That's unconditional love. You're being done through by this eternal presence streaming through you, and there's no longer a sense of a separate self in the now moment. So you see, it's all bound up. Whether you approach it from the now and you say, well, let's be in the just rooted in the now, or you talk about being the higher self. You talk about the eternity and infinity. You talk about letting go of the past and the future. It's all the same thought system. It's just he's giving us very different points, different angles on it, isn't it? Which is why we have different lessons every day. It's like a different access point to the same oneness, really. Different idea that takes you on a different route to the same point, and will help you to interpret this world maybe in helpful ways. And that's why the course is so powerful, because he's mixing up the lessons. It's not just the same lesson. It's giving you different thoughts that are going to be helpful in different situations. And you also then start to understand how it all fits together and go, okay, well, really, I'm studying one thought system. There's one thought system because there's only one truth. And these are just different aspects leading to the same thought system. So there's a unifying source to it all. And the more I study it, the more I start to become aware of that there's one eternal truth that's always there. And if I'm open to it, I can always perceive it. Always available. The lessons are just giving you different ways to access it. Mixing it up, because as if it was the same lesson every day, you might get bored. So, and also the ego has many aspects. He's got to deal with all those aspects. Okay, well, there's this aspect, so then there's a lesson for that, and there's another aspect of it which is covered in another lesson. So he's really it's a counter force to the ego's whole thought system. He's designed a course that trains us in undoing every aspect of the ego's thought system systematically and progressively. It's a master teaching. The extraordinary mind training process that he's put together, because he's done it himself. So he knows the path, because he's been human and he's worked it out himself, and he's been through that process. He knows how to do it, and so that's a great teacher. He understands the human condition, but he also understands the eternal now, and is able to then be the intermediary and the bridge for us to learn from, to access it. Okay, so that brings us to our lesson. It's a short teaching today. So let's have a look at today's workbook lesson, which is 151. So finished our reviews, back to an original lesson. So let me just give me a moment to record this. Okay, so you can read the lesson in the original and alternative form.
All things are echoes of the voice of God. And alternatively, all things are echoes of the voice for perfect love.
Yeah. So Any thoughts on that lesson overtly?
Well, as you were talking about the teaching, I was thinking Joshua understood what unconditional love is. We struggle to live with unconditional love because we don't love ourselves enough, that we can't, what we don't love within ourselves, we can't give out to others. And that special love is a perfect playing ground for experimenting with love in all its forms, getting to know what it means to be a voice for perfect love.
All things like echo. So what he's saying is all things, all objects or people or sentient beings or situations, it's all encompassing. I sort of thought of changing it. I was like, well, all things kind of is pretty all encompassing, isn't it?
Yes.
Like everything in this universe. So if it's has a form, it's a sentient being, or maybe it's not a sentient thing, it's a rock or some inorganic thing, or it's a situation, it's a relationship, it's an echo of the voice for perfect love. If you can perceive it, underlying its form lies this echo of eternity, which is a beautiful thought. Everything has that presence of the eternal source of life encoded into it. Otherwise, it would have no existence. It couldn't be at all. So our job is to perceive that. God is in everything. Everything is holy. Everything is sacred at its very core. And the job is to let go of any misperceptions to the contrary. So people and things often behave, they don't behave in accordance with the voice for perfect love. But then our job is to let that go. And we just had that situation, didn't we? Like, okay, but there's still an echo of the voice for perfect love there. All right, because it's a cry. It's either, he says at some point in the course, it's either love or it's a call for love. That's all it is. So it's an echo of that perfect love. And really the person is in distress is saying, really what I want is perfect love again. I feel like I'm missing that. I'm lacking that. I might be seeking it in appropriate ways, so the ego says, well, seek it in a special relationship. That's what the special relationship is there to do, isn't it? To give us the love we think we're missing in a form that is tangible, another person. But in truth, what we really want is divine love. We want the connection with our source back. It can't be provided by a single person. If we're attached to the form of them, if we perceive them as who they really are, and they are the extension of perfect love as we are, then that becomes the holy relationship. Then through that relationship we come back into an awareness of truth and who we are. But you can't see them as an individual self. It can't be, I see you as a person and I see you as a body and I see you as my special partner who's separate from everyone else and somehow more special. You can't see it that way because you'll never then find that unconditional love. You have to perceive them as they truly are. Okay, they are the same awareness I am that is transcendent of time and space. They have that same awareness in them. We both have it. If we can stay in that awareness together, then we have the holy relationship. Then we have unconditional love. No neediness, no clinginess. We just hang out in each other's presence and we connect and we share. And there's none of the ego's dysfunctions that come in and contaminate that relationship. It's the neediness, it's the clinginess, it's the games that we play within special relationships that sabotage that. So let's see what he has to say.
Very well in that movie, The Shack. They really are trying to bring that home of seeing people as unconditional love, presence, that I am presence. It's well done, really good.
Yeah, yeah, lovely. So it's on, where did you watch it? On Netflix?
I think I finally found it on YouTube.
Okay. Is it free on YouTube?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not on Netflix, not in South Africa anyway.
All right. Okay. Free on YouTube. All right. Great. Why don't you send me the link if you can? Otherwise, I can find it. I'll search on it. But if you've got it to hand,
All right.
might be something to watch on the weekend. Okay, so let's have a look at the teaching then on this. So I'm going to read the alternative. Not much to translate there.
No one can judge on partial evidence. That is not judgment. It is merely an opinion based on ignorance and doubt. Its seeming certainty is only a cloak for the uncertainty it conceals. It needs irrational defense because it is irrational. And its defense seems strong, convincing, and without a doubt because of all the doubting underneath.
Okay, so thoughts on that? What's he saying?
We can't know everything. We have only partial evidence to anything that's going on. And so any judgment we make is an opinion based on ignorance and doubt. And then we make it worse with this cloak for uncertainty. Irrational defense pops up, and really underneath it all is huge doubt because we don't really know what is the truth. Something like
yeah. So you were talking about, the way your mind works, the judgments, and it's really the ego mind trying to organize things and work it out. Seeming certainty is only a cloak for the uncertainty it conceals. So the more fixed you are in, no, I actually know what I'm doing, and my perception is correct, and actually the more the ego's in charge. And it needs irrational defense. You notice, people will get, when they're very fixed in their ideas, they will defend it. It's an irrational defense because it's irrational. And you can try and be rational, but they're not rational. They just defend because they don't want to know the truth.
Yes, and you just dig yourself deeper into the doubting and uncertainty which you're trying to conceal by becoming more and more irrational.
Yeah, and then anger results, and we just saw an example of that. So it's not rational, and there's no real logic there. The ego's just lots of bluster, lots of defense, and emotions running wild. So things like anger, attack thoughts, fear. These are all irrational defenses. Which obscure the pure logic. I mean, in some ways, what we're studying is a pure logic, aren't we? It's like the purest logic in the world, in the universe. And it's to live your life by that pure logic, which will take you in to unconditional love. So interesting. So even if you took a logical path to it, you will eventually reach the same point as someone who, say, takes a path of the heart, where it's more feeling part. You'll reach the same point because you go, the pure logic of this thought system will take you to the same realization. that only love is real, only love makes sense. There's nothing else that makes any sense at all. And then you start to know, your doubts are, you don't have any doubt. When you understand the ground of being is the eternal reality and there's nothing else, that's the truth, and then nothing can shake that. It doesn't matter what's happening on the level of form. Things are moving around and shifting and changing. That ground of being is you're so rooted in it that none of those things matter anymore. And that's where he's trying to take us with these lessons into that ground of being state where you're unshakable, you're immovable, and the shifting, changing, moving world doesn't disturb that deep peace anymore. Okay, happy to move to number 2.
Yes, the alternate. I do not seem to doubt the world I see. I do not really question what is shown me through the body's eyes. Nor do I ask why I believe it, even though I learned a long time ago that my senses do deceive. That I believe them to the last detail, which they report is even stranger. When I pause to recollect how frequently they have been faulty witnesses indeed, why would I trust them so implicitly? Why? Except because of underlying doubt, which I want to hide with a show of certainty.
Yeah, so what's he saying there?
He's saying exactly that we know we can't trust our senses and what's happening in the world around us through our body's eyes.
Yeah.
Because of the underlying doubt, we know that it's not the truth, but I want to hide with a show of certainty. So the bravado comes out and the ego is blustering along, making sure that I am right, that it's only because of social conditioning that we do that. Deep down, in that eternal sense, we know that we don't report the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. And you'll notice if people are very resistant to the truth, then they have these fixed perceptions, usually form-based, and they hold to that, and they're like, no, that's the way it is, and there's no movement, there's no ability to question, what their senses tell them. They believe their senses absolutely, even though, as you say, but just look honestly at this perceptual world. Is it really something you can rely on? Things are shifting and changing all the time, and perception is variable. Can you really rely on that? Your perception can change from moment to moment. Other people's perceptions change. It's all a perceptual, it's a perceptual world. So what is reality then if it's all perception? And if you're honest about it, you see that it's very unstable. The whole domain of perception is not something that can be relied on. And your senses, it's a setup. The mind has put you into a body in order to deceive you. The senses are mechanism of the ego's deception that convince you that it's real, don't they? What a construct of the mind. Wow. So you're going to put yourself in this body, apparently, in an external world, and you're going to give yourself these senses that tell you that this is all real, because it seems to be so real. You can see it, you can feel it, you can touch it, taste it, smell it. Well, the mind has then convinced itself that it's real. But what if it's not? What if it's just a setup? The whole thing is a construct to keep your mind in the illusion that you're a separate self. That's all. And this is what he's saying. That's the truth. So you question everything, question every sense perception, because none of it's true. Nothing that you perceive here with your physical senses is true.
It's all temporary.
Oh. So you can't say any of it's true, which is where he's trying to take us. Okay, go beyond the senses and any perception of this world and go into pure formless awareness of perfect love that lies beyond that, where there's no senses, there's no perception, it just is. Now the art of letting go, is to stay in that timeless realm, pure formless awareness of perfect love, even while you're engaging, and so your senses are active. Obviously, you can't walk around in the world without some kind of sense perceptions going on, because you need your senses to sort of guide you through the dream. Otherwise, you just couldn't operate. But your senses are not the absolute reality. You're guided by the deeper, pure formless awareness of perfect love, the remembrance of that's now coming through and interpreting all of your sense perceptions for you. And that's what he's training us to do. It's very simple. It's a simple idea, but to accomplish it is the trick. It requires a lot of mind training to get you out of the belief that this world is real, and allowing your mind, so your interior, to be affected by the sense perceptions of the external world. See? So the ego system is saying, well, sense perception happens, and then you react to it based on your conditioning, but you don't know that it's conditioning. So you think that it's the external world that's doing it to you, and you blame the external world. So, well, this is a bad thing. Why is this happening to you? When actually it's your own thoughts and emotions, your own conditioned mind that is judging it that way and creating that perception. See? So we don't know that until we start awakening. And then we go, well, actually, it's really inside out. I'm perceiving it in this way because of my thought system. I get various sensory inputs, but the sensory inputs are not the only aspect of perception. Right? What is critical is the thought system that underlies them. That's what's meaningful. So if you look at this diagram, underneath perception lies belief, thought, and emotion. Well, that is what influences perception. So perception is made up of, yes, you get external stimuli, your senses tell you things, and then you perceive them, you interpret them according to the belief system that you have. So you have various beliefs at the core, and those create various thought structures, and then emotions, and all of that's hidden. That's in your subconscious, and then you have a perception of the external stimuli based on your belief system. So Yeshua's saying, well, your perception is not primarily outside. The perception is caused from within. It's your thought system that's causing the perception. You just take the raw material of the stimuli and then you interpret it according to the thought system. So we've got to work on that. You want to change your world, you've got to change your perception, and you can't change the external stimuli overtly. Trying to manipulate the world to change the stimuli is illusion. That's magic. What you've got to do is go within and change the beliefs and the thoughts and the emotions. So get to the very core level. Well, what do I want? Do I want to be a separate self with the belief system and the thoughts and emotions characterize that, or am I willing to let that all go and choose only my true self, the Christ self, which then interprets everything from the belief in oneness, in perfect love. And so very different thoughts, emotions, and very different perceptions. So those are the choices. And then you also, not only do you change your perception of each situation, but you influence the quantum field. So if you change that on a fundamental level, that gets projected out into the quantum field. And now you actually have an influence on the stimuli that show up in your dream. Not directly, but indirectly. It just starts to happen if you go within and you start fundamentally changing your mind. And so corrected mindset, that's radiating out this unconditional love into the quantum field, and then perceiving accordingly, is then a healed mind. That's the happy dream. That's what we're trying to accomplish, and a very, very different experience compared with the unhealed mind, completely opposite experience of this world, just based on a shift in a change of mind, a change of belief. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So the theory is actually quite simple. It's just you keep practicing to get it on deeper and deeper levels and apply it daily. That's what he's asking us to do. Apply it in every situation without exceptions. Can you be so aware in every situation that you come from a place of oneness? None of the ego's beliefs, thoughts, and emotions obscure that oneness from interpreting every sense experience that you have. All of the sensory data is now being interpreted only from oneness. That's in the Holy Spirit, the remembrance of that perfect oneness, interpreting the world for you, and that then becomes your guide, and that by default becomes you. You are then, if you only interpret that way, then this is now your true self. That's the Christ self that lies at the core, which is one with the source. So it's the placeholder within this world that allows us to actually perceive the world. So let's just look at the Holy Trinity. In fact, it's in here. It's in my the Holy Trinity is saying that. So this ground of being is always there, but you must bring your mind to it. You must have the true self that's able to perceive correctly, perceive the world correctly, and interpret all of these things in this illusory domain. So that would be the top level. It's just inverted, whichever way you want to do the diagram. This is a flip side view of it. The perception there's at the top level, and then you go deeper. So whether you talk about depth, you're going deeper into yourself, or you talk about ascending, it's the same thing. It's a transcendent, deeper or higher. In the end, there's no space or time, so we use language to try and describe what's something that's beyond this world. Okay, so let's move on to number 3. How can I judge?
How can I judge? My judgment rests upon the witness that my senses offer me. Yet witness was never falser than this. But how else do I judge the world I see? I place pathetic faith in what my eyes and ears report. I think my fingers touch reality and close upon the truth. This is awareness that I understand and think more real than what is witnessed to by the eternal voice of perfect love itself.
Yeah, so what's he saying there?
Much the same as the prefix paragraph, that the eyes and ears and our senses are not the truth of reality. I continue to judge the world through my senses, because this is the awareness that I understand and think it's more real than the eternal voice for perfect love.
Yeah. So we're deluded. We think of what we see here as reality, what we perceive with our physical senses as reality, but it's not. It's a false reality. I think this is more real than is what is witnessed to by the eternal voice of perfect love itself. So what that tells us is that underlying all of these sense perceptions, there's just this one fundamental awareness, and then we call that the life essence, the spirit, whatever you want to call it, pure formless awareness, that indwells everything. It's in everything. Everything's an echo of that in every form, every organic or inorganic form in this world. It has that life essence in it. And that's what is witnessed to by the eternal voice, the perfect love itself. It sees only the eternal life, which is the same as love. It's all the same. It's words pointing to the same awareness, really, pure formless awareness of perfect love that underlies everything. And so what are we going to perceive? Are we going to focus on form and on our sense perceptions? Or are we going to focus on, the eternal essence that underlies everything? That's the choice that we have moment by moment. In every situation, every encounter you have with anyone else, every moment you're choosing, well, what do I want to allow into my perception? Do I want to focus on the form and make that real and allow that to affect my mind? The integral model. Am I being directed? Am I a puppet of circumstances? So the external world is now seemingly responsible for my thoughts, emotions, my inner state? Or am I internally directed? Is my locus of control within? While I decide what I want to experience. I root myself in a state of awareness, and then I allow that awareness to interpret the world. So it's inside out rather than outside in. And that's what we're being asked to do. Well, in fact, that's all we're being asked to do, is reorient ourselves from being directed outside in to being inside out. And that's the essence of all spiritual growth. Any personal spiritual growth is the shift from being outside in to inside out. Not governed by your sense perception. Inside out is my inner state is not governed by my sense perceptions. It's governed by my deeper awareness of who I really am, and a decision for that. And then I allow that to interpret all of my experiences. So if something is not in accord and something seems to be out of accord with that deeper awareness, then I let it go. I don't acknowledge it as reality. That's the choice. Okay, happy with number 3 then. Moving on to 4.
Can this be judgment? I have often been urged to refrain from judging, not because it is a right to be withheld from me. I cannot judge. I can merely believe the thought system of the belief in separation as judgments, all of which are false. It guides my senses carefully to prove how weak I am, how helpless and afraid, how apprehensive of just punishment, how tainted with sin, and how wretched in my guilt.
And what's he saying there?
Basically, I cannot judge because I believe in a thought system of the belief in separation. So all those judgments are false.
No.
Because basically my senses are letting me know how weak I am, helpless and afraid, scared of punishment, tainted with sin, wretched in my guilt.
You cannot really do it. That's what he's saying. So I'm believing in this thought system of the belief in separation And that's all false, because the idea of separation is false. Of course, all of its judgments are going to be false. And then it interprets all of my sense perceptions to show me how weak I am, how helpless and afraid, how apprehensive of just punishment, how tainted with sin, and how wretched in my guilt. That's how it's going to interpret it, everything. And then we live in this helpless, enervated little life, which is hell. Come down the ladder of separation, and where do we end up? In a body, seemingly a victim of a cruel world, living in a state of limitation, lack, loneliness, suffering, death, everything he's described here. Helpless, afraid, apprehensive of seemingly just punishment, how tainted with sin, how wretched in my guilt. It's a pretty miserable reality, really. You go, oh my goodness, you've taken pure formless awareness of perfect love and you've made that of it. This is what the ego's done. Now you're, seemingly a victim, this helpless, poor little person living in this cruel world, seemingly attacking you. And you've done that to yourself when you could have pure formless awareness of perfect love. Like, really? Is that what you want? And that's all he's saying to us. Is that really what you want? Look at this ego system honestly and look at the result of it. And you can only come to the same conclusion as he did. Well, this is just mad, crazy. It's hellish. It's not something I could ever consciously want or choose. So I need to let go of it all and return my mind to this. Okay, happy to move to number 5.
Yeah, bottom line is I cannot judge.
Yeah. Not with my ego's judgments. So the Holy Spirit's only evaluation is this isn't true. That's all it's saying. Its only judgment is none of this is true. That's the judgment.
It's very
That's
hard.
the one true judgment.
It's very hard though when you're in a situation like we were earlier this evening.
Yeah.
And also in that film, The Shack, where his daughter was murdered. To be able to say, I tune into love, when everything is screaming at you and making you feel wretched and guilty and sinful and pain, to actually reach a point where you can let that all go and know that it's not really happening. There's something, there's a much bigger picture playing out which we can't see.
Well, that's that's the letting go that we have to do. Because all this is just images projected onto the 4-dimensional screen of time and space, convincing us that it's real. That's all it's trying to do.
Yeah.
And our minds get enslaved into it, and it's a virtual reality show, but it seems to be so real that we've convinced ourselves that it is real, and that we really are here, and that we really are characters in the show. But we're not. The characters are very temporary. What underlies it all is the ground of being is like the screen. It's all been projected onto the screen, and the screen is unaffected by the images. You go to a movie theater, the screen remains. The images come and go, but the screen is what's permanent and doesn't change. So it's the same idea. Find the underlying screen, the ground of being, which doesn't change, and you realize all the images are just illusory. They come and they go, they shift and they change. You can't take them any of them seriously. And the characters pop in and out of the dream. Sometimes people arrive and then they disappear, they die, seemingly, but it's all just part of the dream. As Shakespeare said, all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. They have their entrances and their exits, and one man in his time may play many parts. So he understood. It's just a show. It's a virtual reality show, a play, a movie. These are all helpful ways of thinking about, maybe a dream, whatever language you want to use, that isn't ultimately true. And the Holy Spirit's only judgment is that it's not true. That's all it tells you. Don't get it caught up in, well, this part of it's more true than another, and now I've got to analyze that part and I've got to understand it, and because that's making it real, isn't it? The Holy Spirit just goes, it's all untrue. So there's no order of difficulty in miracles, because it simply sees that everything's untrue, and that you can always return your mind back to love. That's why there's no order of difficulty in miracles, you see. It took me a long time to understand that, because you think of miracles in terms of the form. Okay, well, miracle is something in form, and well, it would seem to be more difficult to walk on water or raise the dead than to I don't know, manifest a new car or something. We have these, but the truth is, it's all illusion. That's all the Holy Spirit's telling us. It doesn't matter. It's all illusion. So all you got to do is see that, and return your mind to this pure formless awareness of perfect love, and then you're home, and nothing can affect you there. So. And it's just to stay in that awareness. That's our job. No matter what's happening here, things kick off. I mean, the ego is violent and aggressive and attacking and all this stuff to make itself real. That's why it's invented the world it has. And to remember the truth that underlying this, there's this base, the ground of being that's the same. It hasn't changed at all. Okay, so number 5.
This thing it speaks of and wants to defend, it tells me is myself. And I believe it is so with stubborn certainty. Yet underneath remains the hidden doubt that what it shows me as reality with such conviction, it does not believe. It is itself alone that it condemns. It is itself alone that it condemns. It is within itself it perceives the guilt. It is its own despair it perceives in me. I don't know. You're going to have to do that one.
I'm not sure what he's saying.
That I'm the problem.
Yeah, so this thing it speaks of, wants to defend, it tells me as myself. So this thing that's perceiving the body and the world is real, it says is you. And I believe that this is so with stubborn certainty. And underneath that seeming certainty remains this hidden doubt. What it shows me is reality, such conviction it does not believe. It's itself alone that it condemns. So within itself it perceives the guilt. Its own despair it perceives in me. So it's just an entity. It's a false idea of separation that's become so entrenched in our mind. It's become our identity. We seem to now believe in this idea of separation. It's become a self for us, and it is the self that now governs our perceptions in our world. But underlying that, he's saying, is this hidden doubt that everything that it's showing is illusion. And it's actually condemning itself because it feels unworthy of existence. Okay? So let's go back to fundamental principles. We look at this diagram. In order for the ego to exist, it has to have denied perfect love. So at the very core of its existence is the unworthiness to even exist. It doesn't believe it even deserves to exist.
Yeah.
But it wants to exist. So this is its dilemma. It wants to exist even though it doesn't really exist. And so it feels unworthy of existence. And that's why at the core level of every ego is an unworthiness. And we see that, when you do work like in the Art of Letting Go course, or the Naming Your Game, every person's program is an unworthiness program, because the ego doubts its own existence.
Yeah.
Because it's not real. The whole thing's illusory. It's a denial of, it come about only because of the denial of reality. So of course it's going to doubt its existence, and then it seeks to confirm its existence, say, no, I'm right. So it just goes into this whole down the ladder of separation to miscreate an entire world to try and confirm its existence, which it still doubts. It feels very, very uncertain of that existence, which is why, we're born and everyone has it from birth. We have this uncertainty, a sense of a doubt. Everyone has a worthiness issues. We doubt our worthiness. Oh, there's Elaine. She's made it back. Hey, welcome, Elaine.
Oh, hi.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
You all right?
All good now. Yeah.
Yeah.
All sorted. Thanks for the message of encouragement. Thank you.
Yeah.
Do apologize for that.
Our thoughts were with you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Well, don't apologize. It's just the ego kicking off as it does.
Yes.
And
yeah. So back to base.
You needed to just give some TLC, I guess.
Oh, yes, of course. Absolutely. All good. All good.
Okay now.
Yeah. Yes. No. All good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well done. All right. So we're just doing the lesson for today.
Yeah.
What are we talking about? Number 5. It's really the ego is just perceiving its own self, and this unworthiness program is because it knows on some level it's not real. So we have this deep sense of unworthiness and a despair because none of it's real, and so none of it actually has any meaning or any true purpose. And so underlying all the ego's games is this despair at the unworthiness of it all and the futility of it all. And I think we all feel that from time to time. If you're in the ego, there's the sense of futility and despair, and then most people try and cover that over with activity. Oh well, I'll just do something else and I'll cover it over. I won't ever really face that. But if you really face that, there's awakening in that. You go, well, yeah, it is all illusions. It's a desperate thought system because it's all false. But if I can see that, then I can find the truth beneath it. And there's no despair in the truth because the truth is always true. And the truth is happy and peaceful and joyful and loving. And I can let go of this entire thought system, and I don't have to believe in any of it. That's the conclusion you'll come to eventually. And that moves you beyond the despair and the guilt and any of the negative thoughts and emotions that negate. All of that just negates the truth of this splendid, pure formless awareness of perfect love that is eternal and unchanging. Okay, so Elaine, if you can read number 6 for us.
In the alternative, yeah. I will not hear its voice. The witnesses it sends to prove to me its evil is my own are false and speak with certainty of what they do not know. My faith in them is blind because I do not want to share the doubts its Lord cannot completely vanish. I believe, vanquish. I believe to doubt its messengers is to doubt myself.
So what's he saying there?
Now we're back to those witnesses, aren't we? The witnesses are those things that are there to prove.
Yeah, to prove that it's real. You just had that witness, didn't you? So it's anger and attack and so on. And that's a
Yes.
witness to a false thought system.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
And
I
the
will
ego
not
tells
listen.
you,
So I
the ego
won't
tells
listen
you,
to that.
well, if you doubt this, then you're doubting yourself. Tells you, well, this is reality. Come on, get real. You're seeing this. Your body's eyes, your senses are telling you this. How can you doubt that? You must be crazy.
Sorry?
I
Oh,
believe
just
to doubt messengers is to doubt myself. So that's not the case.
yeah.
You're right, Elaine? Carry on.
Oh, yes, all good. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So he's asking us to really doubt the ego. The ego is the source of all of our doubt and uncertainty. He's saying we must start to question that. And the questioning of the ego is the beginning of our awakening. We start questioning the whole thought system and the reality that it proposes and that it shows us, that it witnesses. Then we start awakening to a deeper truth, a deeper reality. Right, we must start questioning it.
Yeah.
Which is what these lessons are designed to do. Okay, you start questioning it. And he speaks with such clarity and conviction that you start to go, yeah, there's a certain voice there. There's certainty, there's clarity, there's conviction in the messages I'm getting from this. And this I can feel the certainty of that. I can feel that it's pointing to something that's real. And then we start becoming more and more convinced of the truth that he's teaching us, and less and less convinced of the ego's lies. So eventually, the ego's lies just don't mean anything to us anymore. We can't believe in any of that thought system. Okay, so number 7. Happy to move on. I must learn. Christine, if you can read that. A bit of translation. So read it in the original this time, and then translate in the alternative.
This will be my last one, if that's okay, because it's quite a long one.
Well,
and I'm getting tired. Yet you must learn to doubt their evidence will clear the way to recognize yourself and let the voice of God alone be judge of what is worthy of your own belief.
right.
It will not judge.
Alternatively, yeah.
Yet I must learn that to doubt their evidence will clear the way to recognize myself and let the voice of perfect love alone be the judge of what is worthy of my own belief.
Yeah, you understand what he's saying there?
Yes.
Yeah. So I must learn that doubting their evidence, doubting the witnesses, will clear the way. It's going to open my mind to recognize my true self. And let this voice for perfect love alone be the judge of what is worthy of my belief.
He will not tell you that your brother should be judged by what your eyes behold in him, nor what his body's mouth says to your ears, nor what your fingers touch reports to him.
Yeah.
It will not tell me that my companion should be judged by what my eyes see in him, nor what his body's mouth says to my ears, nor what my fingers touch reports of him.
And make that I should judge my companion in the active rather than the passive. So he is asking us to go beyond the sense perceptions, beyond what our senses are telling us.
Yeah.
Very, very, a great lesson for you, Elaine. You're paying attention. There's beautiful release here for you.
Yes.
What his mouth says to my ears, nor what my fingers touch reports of him. So all of these things that our companions do they're not true. They're part of the illusion. So why do
Yeah.
we judge them as reality?
It's true.
Hmm.
And
We've
then
all
it-
witnessed. Yeah, sorry, Christine.
And then it says it does not pay attention to such idle witnesses, which merely bear false witness to perfect love's extension.
Hmm.
So it's this perfect love alone can be the judge. We have to go,
Nobody there at the minute.
we have to go into that love within ourselves.
Hmm. Hmm.
It recognizes only what perfect, pure formless awareness of perfect love loves, and in the holy true awareness of what it perceives, all the belief in separation's dreams of what I am vanish before the splendor it beholds.
Hmm.
Mm,
Thoughts on that?
it's again just emphasizing to focus on what pure formless awareness of perfect love loves and be truly whole, wholly aware, so that all the belief in separation's dreams can fall away.
Hmm. I am vanished before the splendor. Correct that. The splendor it beholds. Hmm. They're pointing us to this transcendent, splendid reality, who we truly are, beyond the little ego, beyond the body, beyond sense perceptions. We come to recognize ourselves as we really are, eternal beings, eternally blessed. Happiness, peace, love, joy is all there,
Yes.
and none of the ego's stories matter at all. And they can't deny that. So, the letting go is key. The fake witnesses, the idle witnesses, which bear false witness to perfect love's extension. So, someone behaves in a way that's motivated by the ego. That is an idle witness. It's bearing false witness, and that's the way the ego maintains itself, because it gives you these false witnesses and says, "Look, that's the truth," and it holds it up for you. It says, "There, look, it's happening, so it must be true." And so it requires a lot of this mind training to go, no, it's an illusion. It's being shown to me precisely to convince me that my ego is true and this world is true. But I don't buy it. I don't have to believe it. Now, whatever the ego is showing you in the dream, you don't have to believe it, do you? You can observe it and go, no, this is not what I'm going to believe in. I don't have to allow this into my mind. Certainly don't have to allow it to affect my thoughts and emotions. If I don't believe it, then it won't have an effect on my thoughts and emotions. That's the whole point. And we do the mind training so that we can be really strong in our conviction that nothing in form is real, and so we can let all these appearances go and stay connected to the eternal truth that underlies them, no matter what seems to happen on the level of form. Did you find you were able to do that, Elaine? Just now. I mean, that was a good test.
Yes.
Did you manage to stay
Yeah.
connected?
Well, initially I was fired, obviously I'm still work in progress, but I was able to see that it was false and not real.
Oh.
So, yeah, so it was
So sometimes it takes a bit
very
of time.
challenging. very
it takes a bit
challenging.
of time to get through it.
Yeah,
But that's what time is for. We're here to learn these lessons. So time
right.
is for exactly that purpose. Correcting the misperceptions and letting them
Yeah,
go, and coming back into the awareness of the truth.
yeah. Yeah, no, I got there eventually. Just sort of, yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, which obviously is far better, because otherwise, if you join in with the ego's false behavior, then you end up, in bigger trouble.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, well, if you believe it, then it's a pretty ghastly reality, really. It's awful.
it is.
It all seems to be real, and there's no point. It's just like, well, what's the point of all this, whatever, anger, aggression, conflict? What's the point?
I quite agree.
There's no point. There's no point.
Yeah.
That is the point. There's no point to it. It's just the ego spinning itself out into the dream, projecting itself out as part of its thought system to defend itself and the dream it's made. That's all. That's the only point. So yes, this is asking us to see that and recognize that there is no point to any of it, and that it's all false. That's the one interpretation that the Holy Spirit makes for us. It's not real. It's false. So don't believe in any of it. It's not one thing that happens in this world is true. It says that at some point in the course. It can't be, because it's all a product of the thought of separation. So within the dream of separation, you can see the effects of the Holy Spirit, the reinterpretation of the ego's dream. You can see that, and that's what we're supposed to do, is see those miracles, and that's part of our awakening. But it's still false. The dream, all of it, whatever the illusions are that seem to be shown to us, are all false. Thank God for that.
Oh, yeah.
We don't have to believe in any of it.
Yeah, thank goodness. Yeah, no, it's.
I know. Thank goodness it's not real. I mean, if this world were reality, oh my God, there's no escape. You are going to suffer and die. No escape. It's a hellish nightmare.
Horrible. Yeah.
If there's no escape from it. So thank God it's not real. There is another reality we can escape to. And we will. The destiny of every mind is to escape, back into pure formless awareness of love, back to reality. That's the underlying program of this universe, seeming reality, universe, whatever you want to call it. The underlying, the ultimate program, the ultimate purpose is that every mind is finding its way back to source and will escape from the dream. That's the master program, which underlies the whole thing. And so Yeshua is asking us to live our lives in alignment with that master purpose, which is the Holy Spirit's reinterpretation then of the dream. When we live in alignment with that, then we have a way of finding peace and happiness and joy, even in a disaster, as well as a hellish nightmare and a disaster from the ego's perspective. But even within that, the power of the Holy Spirit is so great that it can transform it into a happy dream while we're still here. Reinterpret the disaster into something that's actually quite happy and peaceful. It's not reality, but it's a transition to reality. It's part of the awakening. So yes, it can be a happy dream while we learn our lessons, and then we finally let go, we graduate, and we go back home. And that's the best we can do with our lives. Okay, happy to move on to 8.
Yes.
All right, is it Elaine to read?
Yep. Let it be judge of what I am, for it has certainly in which there is no doubt, because it rests on certainty so great that doubt is meaningless because before its face. My true self cannot doubt itself. The voice for pure formless awareness of perfect love can only honor myself, rejoicing in its perfect, everlasting sinlessness.
Like that innocence.
Yeah. Those who have listened to its judgment can only laugh at guilt. Unwilling now to play with toys of sin and, is that unneeding? Unheeding.
Unheeding, yeah.
Unheeding of the body's witnesses before the bliss of their true and complete identity.
Say ignoring, shall we? Ignoring. Knowing the body's witnesses before the bliss of their true and complete identity is the rapture of Christ's holy face. That's what he means. Christ's holy face is your true and complete identity. Okay, I am what I am, and I know it, and I experience it, and the joy of that. Finally, I know what I am. I'm not confused anymore. I don't doubt anymore. I have certainty.
Mm, mm.
Which is to know thyself. You know, this is the whole journey of awakening. To know thyself. Who are you, really?
Yeah.
And then the consequence of that is bliss, peace, joy, happiness. Okay, happy to go to number 9. I see Christine's left us, so you're on your own now.
Okay.
Then.
Yeah. And so the remembrance of perfect love judges me. I accept its message about what I am, for it bears witness to my beautiful being and the awareness whose thought gave me my reality. What can the body mean to it that knows the magnificence of the source and its extension? What whispers of the belief in separation can it hear? What could convince it that my sins are real? Let it be judge as well of everything that seems to happen to me in this world. Its lessons will enable me to bridge the gap between illusions and the truth.
Oh. And what's he saying there?
The remembrance of perfect love judges me. And so, I accept its message. It judges me, just trying to work out what that means. And so the remembrance of perfect love judges me.
Yeah. So
I accept its message.
so the Holy Spirit, thus he judges you. Right? So he judges you as those who have listened to his judgments can only laugh at guilt. Right? So he's judging you as innocent, perfectly innocent. And only honor myself, rejoicing in its perfect everlasting innocence. You know, this is going to the previous paragraph. And only honor myself, and so he judges you. So it judges me as perfect, as whole, complete, innocent.
Right, yeah, I've got you. So it's just from previous,
Accept its message about what I am, for it bears witness to my.
Yeah. And so then we accept that message of our innocence and our true self.
Yeah, testifies to my beautiful being and awareness whose thought gave me my reality.
That's our true self. Yeah, that's where the remembrance of perfect love judges right. Yeah. Yeah. And the body, what can the body mean to it that knows magnificence of the source and its extension?
Yeah. So what can the body mean to him who knows the glory of the Father and the Son, knows the magnificence of the source and extension? And it can't hear. It can't hear the ego anymore. The whispers of the belief in separation.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Nice.
Can't hear that. What could
Okay.
convince it that my sins are real?
Yeah. Nice paragraph.
And let it be judge as well, he says, of everything that seems to happen to me in this world. So it becomes the perceiver, see, allowing it to be the perceiver of all the things that seem to happen in this world.
Mm. Yeah.
Its lessons will enable me to bridge the gap between illusions and the truth. So look at the Holy Trinity, the true perceptions, which are the Holy Spirit's judgments of the world, allow us to bridge the gap. We move away from believing in this illusory world back into our true self, Christ, which knows that it's one with its source, which is pure formless awareness of perfect love. Holy Spirit takes us back into that awareness, and ultimately God takes the final step and we merge back into this pure formless awareness of perfect love. So it's about bridging the gap, you know, moving from the state of illusion, thinking we're a separate self, back into the ultimate truth that we are just this awareness. Isn't even a Christ self in pure formless awareness of perfect love. There's just that perfect, pure formless awareness, and nothing else goes on. And that's where where the Holy Spirit's taking us back. But there's a bridge. There needs to be a transition from the one to the other. Talked about crossing over the bridge in a recent text lesson. Cross the bridge from this world to the other world through the mechanism of the true self that is perceiving the world correctly in this letting go way, in a forgiving or letting go way. And so it judges everything that seems to happen and says none of it's true. Only the truth is true. You're still one with your source. Okay. Okay, with number 9, so we move on to 10.
Yeah. It will remove all faith that I have placed in pain, disaster, suffering, and loss. It gives me vision, which can look beyond these grim appearances and can behold the gentle face of my true self in all of them. I will no longer doubt that only good can come to me, who are beloved of perfect love, for it will judge all my experiences and teach the single lesson that they are all contain. That they all contain. Yeah.
Now, what's he saying there?
Well, it will remove all faith that I have placed in pain and disaster and suffering and loss. It will give me vision, and which we can look beyond the grim appearances that we see, and we'll see the gentle face of our true self in all of them, all of these grim appearances. And we will no longer doubt, and only good will become to me. And for it will judge all my experiences and teach the thing that they are. So all of these grim appearances are teaching me a lesson. There's a message in them.
So
Like
all
this
my
evening.
experiences and teach the single lesson that they all contain.
Like my grim appearances this evening.
Oh.
They're false.
Oh. If you can see that, then it's okay, isn't it? Right? Okay, it's right. I don't have to get emotionally disturbed by them because they're not true.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Me who am beloved, I think, is what we want. They teach the single lesson they all contain, right? So it's a single purpose, a single lesson. None of this is true. The only thing that is true is pure formless awareness of perfect love. And it judges everything from that consistent basis. So now you have a consistent thought system that's always the same, always true, and can always help you in every situation, no matter what's happening in this world. You know, recognizing the untruth of it is the answer. Going to restore your mind to a sense of peace, no matter what seems to be happening. Okay. So number 11.
Yeah. It will select the elements in them which represent the truth and disregard those aspects which reflect only idle dreams. And it will reinterpret all I perceive and all occurrences, each circumstances and every happening that seemed to touch on me in any way from its one frame of reference, wholly unified and sure. And I will perceive the love beyond the hate, the constancy in change, the pure in sin, and only the blessing of pure formless awareness on the world.
Lovely. That's just a very feel-good paragraph, isn't it?
It is.
Reinterpret everything I perceive. Everything now takes on this holy light. And I perceive the love. Well, so underlying whatever the appearances are, the love beyond the hate, the constancy and change, the pure in sin. So no matter what the appearance is, you reinterpret it and you see, you know, the underlying truth.
Yeah.
And only the blessing of pure formless awareness on the world. And actually, this is always there if I'm open to it, even in, you know, a situation like you had. It's still there. It's just covered over. The ego is just having a tantrum because it's trying to convince you that it's real. Because you're actually, you know, you're undoing it, so it feels threatened, and so then it's got to amp it up and create more drama to try and convince you that, you know, the world is real and therefore your separate self is real. So that's, you know, that's the dynamic that's going on. And when you understand that, you can kind of laugh, just kind of laugh at it and go, "This is just crazy.
It is.
I can't believe it anymore."
No, yeah. So true.
And so then you rise above the battleground and it doesn't affect you like it used to. You're still, you know, on the level of calm, you got to deal with it. But if you calm and you're not emotionally interpolated, then you can deal with it so much better, can't you?
True, yeah. Good lesson.
You know, this mind training is essential. It's like, well, you know, how are you going to deal with those kinds of upsets? If you're not, your mind isn't trained, then you'll react. You'll get upset. You'll get angry. You get into conflict.
And then it escalates, It
escalates, and who knows what can happen. You know, we know where that leads. You know, you see many statistics of, you know, domestic abuse, violence, and this is because people are mind training, murder, because they're not mind trained, because the ego takes over in the moment. It all escalates, and then someone does something rash. And then they pay the price for the rest of their life. You know, it's just because they didn't have enough awareness to stop it and say, okay, just, you know, pause. Let's not go down that track. So this is, you know, it can be life-saving. It can be
totally
you know,
agree.
you can guarantee every criminal, any person who's been put in prison, they had a moment of choice and they made the wrong choice. If they'd had this thought system to guide them, they wouldn't have made that choice. They wouldn't be in prison. You know, it's that simple.
Yeah.
And they all recognize, and we've spoken to, I think Michael Singer has done work in prisons, and he said it's interesting because these guys get it. They understand that they made a choice in the moment and it was the wrong choice. And as a result of that choice, they're now paying the price. So they all get it. They
That,
understand
yes.
that, the wrong choices, a wrong choice was made. But they're not, the beauty of this teaching is it's saying, well, you're not condemned forever for your wrong choice. You can make a right choice. You can correct it by starting to make right choices. A lot of people do awaken in prisons for that reason, because they reflect and they go, okay, I can see the error, and I can, I've now got time. The beauty of prison is you've got time to study and learn this kind of thought system. So and that's what it should be for. Actually, they should have correctional facilities, and like, okay, you go in for a while and you get mind trained so that you don't make the same mistakes. And they should be being taught Course in Miracles or something equivalent, to help them to correct their minds and let go, forgive themselves, let go, so they don't make the same mistakes again when they go back into the world. Okay, so number 12, such is my awakening.
Such is my awakening, for my life is not part of anything I perceive. It stands beyond the body and the world, past every witness or limited awareness, within pure formless awareness, which is as wholly aware as itself. In everyone and everything, its voice wants to speak to me only of myself and my source, which is one with it. And so I will see the identity of my true self in everything, and hear in everything no sound except the echo, perfect love's voice.
So it's in everything. This is the teaching. It underlies all forms, sentient beings, inorganic things. It's everywhere and everything, because it's the fundamental ground of being. It's the fundamental awareness without which there would be nothing. There would be no dream. And he's asking us just to perceive this. And I see the true self, see the holy face of Christ in everything. We hear the echo of God's voice. We see only the holiness, right? Only this pure formless awareness reflected everywhere and in everything. And this is the awakened state. This is the state of mind that enlightened beings have reported throughout history. Right? It's a unity consciousness. I see everything as really connected and the same, because it's the same awareness that underlies everything. There's only one source of everything, and I am that source. So I'm not disconnected from anyone or anything, because we are actually one in that awareness. It's the same awareness. And the enlightened mind is not confused by the appearances of separation. It just ignores those and stays connected to this deeper awareness, and then sees in everything a reflection of that awareness. So God is in everything I see, because God is in my mind. Great course lesson, which I quote frequently, because that's the truth. It's in everywhere and everything, because it's in your mind. Just to be aware of that constantly, that's the art of it. Stay connected to it no matter what seems to be happening in the dream. And that's why the letting go is necessary. If you can't let go, then you won't stay connected to it, because the ego is going to come in and obscure it with all kinds of other thoughts and emotions that are only designed to cover it over. That's all they're there to do. They're there to cover over the pure formless awareness of perfect love and deny it and convince you that, that's reality. And now, your separate self that believes in that is real. Okay, so that brings us to the practice. We want to do a meditation.
Yeah, that would be nice. That'd be very helpful.
Okay. All right, so just give me a moment to get the recordings going. Okay, so just making yourself comfortable, getting into your normal comfortable meditation posture, sitting your feet shoulder width apart. If you're sitting on a chair, keep your back straight. Cup your hands in your lap, close your eyes. And start off with a nice deep breath in through the nose. So breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises, and subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Clench the sphincter muscle to lock the energy in. Pull the energy up your spine into your heart center. Pull it up into the crown of your head, just pausing at the top of the inhale. It's a maximal inhale breath. So you're just going to scan your mind. Just scanning your mind, noticing whatever thoughts, emotions are going on, anything that's negative of the truth. So it feels uncomfortable, unpleasant. Just notice that, be aware of it, notice how it shows up in your body, maybe as a kind of uncomfortable feeling somewhere in your body, a tension, knot in your stomach, the extreme, nausea, dry mouth, sweaty palms, and panic attacks can come just from your thoughts. So wherever you are, just notice any minor disturbance in the pure formless awareness of perfect love. Breathe in again to top yourself up. So the breath invites this pure formless awareness, spacious awareness into these negative thoughts and emotions, and allows you just to let them go. And bring in this awareness. They seem to be all rather petty and trivial. Perhaps you can look at them and have a little chuckle, smile, and then you just choose to let them go. Remind yourself that all things are echoes of the voice for perfect love. And so it's there in the situation. Whatever seems to be disturbing you is just a misperception. So you exhale, just exhale out, letting it all go, the breeze of your breath. Going, gone. Pull the lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And you just rest in the deep peace and stillness. Rest in the truth of perfect love. Repeat the thought for the day. All things are echoes of the voice for perfect love. And then watch your thoughts and ask silently for help to the remembrance of perfect love, which sees the elements of truth in them. Only sees the truth, not the illusion. So let it evaluate each thought that comes to mind. Just watch them blowing through your mind. Remove the false elements of dreams. If you notice anything that's disturbing, an emotion that's not pleasant, this is a false element of a dream. And the Holy Spirit, the remembrance of perfect love, will clean it for you. So you just exhale, blow it out, release it. Letting it go into the nothingness that it really is. Blowing it out, letting it go. and cleaning all those ideas. This is how the ideas get given back as true ideas that don't contradict pure formless awareness of perfect love. And just rest in the peace this brings you. Give all your thoughts over. Our thoughts will be corrected. Thoughts will joyously proclaim the wholeness and the happiness. Pure formless awareness of perfect love wills its extension. It's proof of its eternal love. And as each thought is transformed in this way, it takes on healing power. And the awareness which saw the truth in it failed to be deceived by what was falsely added. And all the threads of fantasy are now gone. Fantasies of fear, vengeance, attack thoughts, guilt. These are all just fantasy thoughts, part of an illusory dream, a hallucination. What remains is unified into perfect awareness. And offers its perfection everywhere. So from this inner state of perfect awareness, you can perceive everyone and everything as whole, complete, and perfect. And so just sink inwards, breathe in and out through your nose, and observe the breath flowing in and flowing out, and let the breath connect you with this deeper awareness, perfect awareness, pure, formless awareness of perfect love, we call it, that is whole, complete, and perfect. And you rest in this awareness. You rest in God, in this deeper awareness. Nothing else to go, nothing else to do, nothing else to think about. Just rest in this pure formless awareness of perfect love. In this deep peace and stillness. The next couple of minutes of deep contemplative silence. There's nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. Breathe, relax, be still, and listen to the voice of perfect love, which echoes throughout the world. In your mind, in your deeper awareness, the next couple of minutes of deep, connected silence. Any thoughts arise, seem to disturb your peace in any way, just give them to Holy Spirit, remembrance of perfect love. Breathe into them. Remind yourself that these are not real. These are like clouds just moving across your mind, across the pure formless awareness. It's the equivalent of the blue sky in your mind. They don't really touch the sky at all. They just seem to obscure it in your awareness. So you can blow them away, give them over, let them go. The breeze of your breath, blow them away into the nothingness they really are. The clouds are just dissipating, they're going, gone. And you pull the lower stomach, spine, you expel the last remaining air out. And you rest in this deep awareness of truth. Just rest in the pure formless awareness of perfect love, the blue sky. It's as the sun of your source, perfect love shining through it. The splendor of this self, the magnificence of it is evident to you. Just bask in it, let it bask in you and show you that this is what you are, this is true reality. Just rest in that true reality. Bask in the bliss of your eternal being for the next 4 minutes of deep contemplative silence. So just gently coming back from this deep state into an awareness of the body and the breath and the senses and the world. And on the count of 3, open your eyes. So 1, just breathing in, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises, subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pause at the top of the inhale. Scan your mind once more. So just noticing any thoughts, emotions, related body sensations, anything that is at all untoward, negative, limiting, contracted, constricting. You just remind yourself that all things are echoes of the voice for God or perfect love, including this. So underneath it, if it's not overtly love, then it's a cry for love. And you perceive it as such, love is still there as the fundamental reality of that situation, because it's the cry for it. And so just perceive that correctly, let it go with the breath, whatever's disturbing you, the thought, the emotion, it's all false. These are all false witnesses, idle witnesses to the ego's reality, which are not true. So blow them away, the breeze of your breath, to the nothingness they really are, going, gone. Pull the lower stomach into the spine, expel the last remaining air out. And you rest in perfect love for a few moments. So on the count of 2, notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair, your feet touching the ground, noticing what you're feeling and touching. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth, smell in your nose. Notice that. Notice what you're hearing, surrounding environment, just noticing all these things. It's very still, calm, and surrendered state. State of pure formless awareness, the underlying awareness that underlies all sense perceptions. This is the echo of the voice for God that you can perceive in everything. So on the count of 3, open your eyes and just take a minute to look around, noticing those objects in the room. And notice that this deeper awareness underlies all of these objects, all of these sense perceptions. Look at anything for a few seconds, notice this awareness, then look at something else. And again, it's something else. And notice that it's the same awareness, this deeper awareness. Is always there. And so you start to know experientially that you are this awareness. There is really nothing else. The awareness is always there. It echoes in everything. You are it, it is you. And when you remain rooted in that awareness, you have a happy dream. And you remain peaceful and calm and centered no matter what seems to be happening on the level of form. And so it is. So wish you good practicing. You might want to practice this lesson once more. Some meditation I sent you this morning to do that before bed. Use the breath break if you find any dramas arising to keep you topped up with it. And stay in the peace of God. Peace of pure formless awareness that surpasses all understanding. Which is my wish for you. So that brings us to the end of the meditation and of the session. So thanks, Elaine.
Yeah, thank you. That was very helpful.
Yeah, good. I think we need to call it there because I've got a meeting in 5 minutes.
Of course.
And
yeah.
start the text now. It's going to go until
Yeah,
half-past
yeah,
11.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and I think probably you need to maybe just go and
To
stay
recoup.
still around.
Yeah, I'm just going to
go and
concentrate on the
reassure
lesson.
you.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, yeah,
I'll
yeah.
concentrate on the
So
lesson.
well, well done, and just stay
Very
stay
helpful.
connected, ask for guidance, and it'll be all right. It's
Thank
all
you
gonna be
very
fine.
much. Much appreciate.
All right. Yeah,
Thank
only
you.
pleasure. So I will see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a we could do split session. I can do 12:30 to 2:30.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
maybe the next in the evening if you want. Do you want to do that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Join
That's
at
good.
12:30, and then we can do a later
Yeah.
afternoon one at say 5 or 6. How does
Yeah.
that sound? Yeah.
That sounds good. Yeah. That's
All right.
great.
Okay.
Thanks
See
very
you
much.
tomorrow.
Okay.
All right.
See you tomorrow.
Thanks,
Namaste.
Elaine. All right. Namaste.
Bye.
All right. So thanks to everyone. Thanks to Elaine and Christine for joining. Great session. Great message. The echo of perfect love is in everything. It's in everyone. So perceive it as such, and then you connect with your true self. That's the key message. And live in a happy, peaceful dream, which is what I wish for you all. If you're watching the channel and you'd like to join us in these live calls, then feel free to join us in the next masterclass this Sunday. Click the link below. You can go register and join one of these live sessions and participate. And yeah, you see the power of joining in person. It's very transformational. So I hope to see you on the inside. Namaste, which means the voice for perfect love, and me acknowledges, honors that same voice for perfect love in you.